Hi, welcome. This is Divine Sunshine. I had a message that Spirit had brought to me about understanding about what some things that we might find ourselves needing to heal ourselves. One thing that again that I'm finding that last night it came to me, I think it was early this morning, which was talking about some things. I'll start off with this way. So I know that with a person that I know, there's an issue there in which is finding it very hard to. I know the way that they were raised kind of filters into without me saying insane, that there was some things as far as their way of doing things that had caused me to really go back and think about how the person was raised, and how a simple thing if of giving people space is not something that's really actually plugged in, because the way they were raised, they didn't have space. It was just right there. And so now as I'm growing up and I'm kind of seeing and connecting the dots, I'm also seeing that in their sign, they have this thing also of wanting kind of like, I guess they're in their own little kind of world. And again, I'll talk about myself too. I'm talking about them as well. But and to me, it seems like in that sign, it is very much a lesson that has to learn about the shadow aspect of it. So I'll lead on to mine without me kind of going into, okay, so the way I was raised, again, was, to me, it was a lot of intrusion. To me, is a lot of not knowing barriers as far as what was said to me as a child, pulling me into a lot of arguments, parent asking me what I think about the situation, almost making me kind of at certain points kind of choose sides. And then as I growed up, my sign is Aries. Aries is about independence, and it's easy for us to kind of shut you off and say, I'm doing deuces, I'm doing my own thing. Okay. And because of that, calls for me to be able to go into, again, of not having that being a more healthier aspect, but moving me into more of a lesson that had to be learned, or karma was kind of introduced to that, causing a wave into that, because again, that's some things that needed to be cleared, but it also helped to cause me to be a little bit more, not shattered, but it caused that ripple effect that K Moon had talked about in the karma. Now, again, this ripple effect, and we always think about karma in past lives, but this ripple effect started from my parents and how they were, and how I was in the relationship and dynamics, and how things transpired in their relationship. And then it ripples over into how I am and how I have moved with people and how I connect with people, which caused me to be a little bit more guarded in having relationships with people and others, which caused that to be a lesson in which my divine counterpart has to, again, bring to me, as far as that's something that needs to be healed, which I found fascinating. Again, is some of this stuff we know that our astrology is also a blueprint to who we are, and also can be led to helping us understand, what things as far as who we are that needs to be kind of recalibrated and rebalanced. As I look in my counterpart, I see things that, again, in their aspect of family is kind of interesting. There, to me, a lot of finding ways of how to kind of be able to manipulation, doing things in their things, not being really again, these are some things just on the outside, me just observing, not dealing with things as they are. Also is a way in which, again, because the sign that they are is one of the signs that is one is always used to pouring out to others and making sure that, again, that they are spiritually being fed. Dealing with that causes also for the divine counterpart to, even in their karmic lessons as well, learned that they have to deal with how they're servicing or being there for others, and not and being their authentic and true self. Because it's interesting, and I've said this on the show, that the sign that they are is not what they portray to be. Their sign looks like a water barrier, but it's not. It's an air sign. So my thing is, it's interesting of how, again, through their blueprint, this too is also playing a part of how do I pour into others but not forget who I am in the process. And it's very much so, again, if I look, even if my parents and my dad, and about him, his sign is all about family. And again, it's interesting that the dynamics of him growing up, how the family was very interesting, and being very much so, taking one parental role to the point that it was like everything that they said was gold, and then not being able to kind of think on their own as far as how they could be able to stand on their own and really listen in tune with their heart, and finding themselves that, again, karmically, the karmic lesson is like when he had relationships with other people, that the family aspect was something that he had to learn, and he had to, again, seeing that he had to deal with, again, what is truly a healthy family. Where is it that I'm not manipulated or overbearing by women, and I can see them in a much truer light than I had been seeing. But again, going back to the sign. So, and the blueprint about how family is so important, but at the point that it becomes kind of distorted if you're not really seeing how everybody's role is to be able to add on to your value as to who you are. So that was something that I had kind of woke up on, and I was like, oh, wow, how we can look at our signs and see if some of those traits of how that is being triggered or used karmically. That means how we're supposed to learn the lesson in our family, how it's being expressed within us, and how it's being expressed in our experiences and how we deal with others. That is also going to signal to us about some of the lessons, in which are some of the dynamics that we've got to kind of work on to be able to center ourselves, so we can come into not even union with our person, but with union with ourselves. Because some way in between there, we have lost ourselves in who we truly are supposed to be, our true identity. And so that was just something that had just came that my guides had brought to me. And I hope you can decipher and understand that. Look into your chart and look and see about some of the characteristics about the sign that you are, and seeing how that get reflected into the family or that you had, in relationships or whatever connections that you have, that is causing you, for you to say you've got to heal this aspect in you, because it showed off in your family, and when it got to you, you expressed it a different way, and as you expressing it out into the world, it expressed a different way too as well. But it's got some kind of way where it's got to be kind of dealt with, put back into realignment, because some kind of way they're saying it's kind of off the track. As well. Like, to me, I might be too independent, and I say again, okay, now I'm getting to the point that I'm starting to like people again. Before, because of what had happened as me, as a child or growing up, I didn't like it's too many energies thrown to me. I felt like I was too much being used, too much of being not manipulated, but when it's a thing. Let's hear lady doing alignment. I know it is. It's out of one of the childhood wounds too, where people take advantage of as well. It's not rejection, but you have to oh no, it's almost right there. You have to kind of watch that too, as well as how are people using that to their advantage, exploit it. Exploitation is also a childhood wound and being used for that, and how again that turned with me being an Aries and being independent, how I had to find a healthier way of expressing my independence because of that experience. I was like, oh yeah, I got it, independence on lock with my Aries flare. I could really disconnect from that, but then understanding that it's a healthy thing, that I do need people. And so now, through me doing the process of healing and dealing with me being awakened now and really seeing what some issues that I got to spiritually heal, I see now that I have to, people are good. I need people. I can be independent on my own, but that does not mean I've got to shut off all people out. It's just that I have to be selective as to who's in my circle. And even those in my circle, I have to learn not to, again, shut them out. And sometimes I find myself kind of doing that too as well. So again, it's a time and place for things, and understanding there's a season and a reason for people to be there, and not to force that happens. And a lot of times that's due to back to childhood wounds as well. And I'm learning that again, some people it is that, and then I find myself kind of like phasing them out, so I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And if my spirit keeps on telling me, no, it's kind of time, it's kind of time, then I know. But beforehand, it used to be just like, bye, there's the door. But it's interesting how they showed me how there is a link between what happened in your childhood, where I am now, how being with the divine counterpart has showed me that I kind of deal with how I am doing those connections. Am I even cutting them off? Again, the thing is, this theme here has been across the board, is cutting your nose off, spite your face. Some of us are going back to kind of rewrite some things where we were really cutting off things that we really actually had needed. And that's been another running theme that's been going on, along with making things bigger than what they are. And so this is what we're looking at to see again, what is it? But they just brought that to me again about how our sign, the lessons that we got to learn, and the karma, and all those things come into play as to what things, where we got off of alignment, where we become distorted, and how we've got to have ourselves come back into realignment on some things. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you need any kind of services from me, you can always go to the description box below. And as always, remember, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and Namago. Love you. Until next time.